A very good afternoon. It's about 2:10 in the afternoon, and I welcome you all to this lovely live market session. Now, today we're going to discuss markets as we go live. And if you have any doubts, any questions you feel like asking, you're most welcome. Feel free to ask. We'll start with the indexes, start tracking the markets more technically, and as far as we can scan with intraday and with daily charts, we're going to do as much as possible. And I make sure that you take away a lot of learning from this session. So thank you again. Let's see who all are here with us. How many of you have done a webinar with me before or come to any of my previous webinars? Raise your hands, please. Anybody? Okay. And welcome to all the new faces. So we start the session now, and if anybody has any questions, you can start asking that as well. So guys, as we see that markets in the recent past have been bit sideways and bit confusing. They've not been very clearly trending. My personal bias towards the market is bullish. Now, it takes time for the market to build a certain setup before bigger and faster moves can start. In one of my weekly videos, I did share with you that there's this very bullish candle which has emerged, and due to this, even if the market does not really perform, it will find it difficult to really go down. One of the things which I was looking at very carefully was this resistance area. And yesterday's live session, for those who are watching this on YouTube, you can check out my yesterday's live session and also join me on Telegram. I said that the area and the zone of the bearish engulfing candle, the zone of the bearish engulfing candle becomes a very important resistance zone. There was an important interaction point where there was a lot of interaction between the buyers and sellers over here. And therefore, this zone will most likely act in a very tight manner. And this tight zone is going to be difficult for the market to beat. So we look at this zone very carefully and see if the market can beat this zone. This is about the Nifty. However, a little more leading bullishness has been seen in Bank Nifty. And in Bank Nifty, we can clearly see that the entire interaction zone has been broken out. Not just broken out, there has been a throwback on this resistance area. One of the lacking factors which I noticed today was that as the markets went up, there was not a very strong volume indication. That could mean that it could take some more time to go up or and build up for the stronger moves, or it could also mean, which doesn't seem likely when looking at the wave structure, that it could be something bearish. Overall, the perception could still remain that the broader trend which has turned down, the broader trend which has turned down is still going to prevail. So keeping that in mind, let's see stock specifics which come on my radar. One of the stocks which I've been talking about is Axis Bank and ICICI Bank. Let's start with ICICI Bank. This weekend, the weekly technical analysis, I spoke about this very bullish structure which can continue. We have seen that has happened, and it still has continued and been one of the front runners among the Bank Nifty stocks. Axis Bank also, on the weekly chart, I spoke about how these significant interaction points were taken support at, which led to a very big move overall. So this could be some place where we could see some power, and not just power in other sectors also. Let's talk about the bearish side of the story. What are the stocks that bring bearishness? Why is there so much sideways movement if a lot of stocks are so bullish? So what brings bearishness into the picture is basically the pharma stocks for the moment, not for the moment, broadly. Sun Pharma we saw has had a very significant fall yesterday, right? Lupin has been on my radar. Spoken day in and day out about Lupin. If we break around these levels, we we can see much lower levels coming in. Okay, we have still got some time, but then there are many stocks which are showing us a lot of sideways and a lot of bearish movements also, due to which I feel Nifty is finding difficult to really break through these major interaction points. Now, when we are looking at interaction points, we need to be importantly looking at the structure with which is breaking through. For me, the structure over here, a three-way structure, being an ABC from the Elliott wave perspective, keeping the stop loss over here and waiting for some more sideways movement to develop could lead to a big breakout. So that is something which I'm looking at very, very carefully. Other than that, I'm looking at stocks which are going to, one second, stocks which are going to show us a different sort of scenario. Like for example, stocks like UPL, which are likely to correct very strongly. Stocks like United Breweries, which have come towards the resistance zone and have corrected significantly today. This becomes clear sell as it is, as I'm speaking right now. It becomes a very strong sell. It can really go down. We saw that there's a huge fall, and after that, we see that there has been a consolidation. This can lead to more downside. From where I see it, this can lead to more downside. Somebody asking a question: how to select stocks to keep on radar? How do you select stocks for tomorrow? Mr. Sanjeev, one of the very good questions you're asking, and I get this question asked very, very frequently. Now, the good part about selecting stocks for tomorrow is that it is not very difficult to do it. But the not so good part about it is that it requires practice. So, for example, I do my homework day in and day out. Now, whenever you do your homework, like for example, I was looking at this stock in the Sin Bank, okay, and I saw that there has been a weekly chart and a daily chart, which has shown mild amount of bullishness. Given that this sideways structure can break out on the upside, it looks very, very interesting. Okay. Now, if we come to the hourly chart, we saw that these highs have been taken out today morning, yesterday morning, and also today morning. So we are trading above these highs. This makes a lot of sense for me to understand this bullishness. Now, to be able to track this, I had to track this on daily basis to be able to understand this. And now, if there is a bullishness which emerges from here, I'm looking to participate in it. Okay. So if I'm being able to track it, it is not because there is some button which I press and I get to see that okay, these are going to be the hot movers of the day. But it is a process of tracking it day in and day out. And I have been able to do it very successfully. So I think that is something which is very important to understand. Now, the only problem is that when people ask me this question prima facie, the underlying assumption is that one wants to become very expert at trading overnight, which doesn't happen. So, what I tell you is that you focus on keeping your practice on daily basis. And if you don't have a background of technicals, if you don't know technical analysis, then I would recommend you highly that you join my 15 session course, which is happening the next batch in December. I I really feel that you're a very eager person. I've seen you in some other webinars before, and and everybody else over here, I would feel that that could be a next step for you. What in technical analysis is it that you look into charts that is your edge, which is what you feel is you're good at? Is there anything particular in technical analysis, any concept which in particular makes you feel like, okay, I'm good at this, these are the kind of trades I like to take, Mr. Sanjeev? Is there anything particularly you're looking at from that perspective? You can answer me on the message, not an issue. And everybody can feel free to contact me over here. You can ask me any question. So I was looking at this 15-minute chart, and if this trend line breakout happens, moreover, if it goes above the higher levels, okay, crossing 25 and crossing 32, which are the two major levels, I could participate in the rally. And what I feel like that if this rally happens, It could really last another 30-40 rupees from here. Similarly, as I spoke about Nifty, that the structure I am seeing from the ABC, which is a three-wave correction, is by itself very bullish. Now the rest of it, how it unfolds. Now, if there's a three-wave correction, and as I said, the three-wave is a corrective wave. Therefore, the overall trend is bullish by itself. Now, the overall trend is bullish. After the correction, we are at the top and we are close to a resistance, which may be anytime about to break out. The high likeliness of breaking out is there, very high likeliness. But would it hover around more sideways before going up? Or would it be taking a small dip and then going up? That is not something I don't know, that I know. So that part of what I don't know, I have to let go and I have to take a position, keeping a very strict stop loss and let go of how the market wants to unfold. The other thing I can do is I can look for in the smaller time frame some other pattern which may support me, right? So that is something which is very, very important if you can see it from that perspective, right? Now coming to Hero Motocorp, which is one of the stocks I'm looking at. Now, Hero Moto on the daily chart, as I always say, why it is important to learn, why is it important to do some training? Because whatever you see on the textbook is just not like that directly on the chart. So, how many of you can really spot an inverse head and shoulder pattern over here? Raise your hands, please. There's a button there to raise your hand. You can raise your hands. How many of you can really spot? Not even one. Okay, one hand up. One hand up, right? So, just to show all of you that inverse head and shoulder pattern, see patterns, there's a big argument with pattern. Okay, many people say patterns actually don't exist. And I will tell you that is the truth. Patterns are nothing but a simple coincidence, but the wave structures always exist. And the pattern may not be exactly textbook style every time, but they are significant to look at, significant to and very tradable. Keeping the market sentiment which is in question, you have to keep the market sentiment which is there also together with what you're trading in intraday. Okay, so keeping all that clarity in mind, what I can say is that if somebody notices on the hourly chart there was a inverse head and shoulder pattern over here. Now the inverse head and shoulder pattern had the right shoulder over here at this point. Now, after it broke out, it did come back inside the pattern. But look at the way the momentum has really come about after that. Look at the way the momentum is coming about. Now, on the daily chart, okay, that was the play which happened where the daily chart looked like this, pretty indecisive, right? Now, on the daily chart, over here, I see that there is a inverse head and shoulder pattern, which is in the making. When I say in the making, I only focus on charts where 90-95% of the pattern is already been made. I don't look and imagine patterns. Like I have seen many people have these on WhatsApp groups, etc. They fly around a lot of charts and they make this line by themselves and then they make this line by themselves. I don't do all that. And I wouldn't recommend any of you to do that. But if you can identify, it is very simple and easy to trade. In fact, it is much more fun to trade than any of you think. Now, honestly, only one thing I will tell you all, asking you very, very clearly, how many of you have some background of technical analysis? I can see one of my students is here, but okay, two students are here of mine. Okay, and the rest, what about you? What is the background you have on technical analysis? Okay, I would recommend you all to go to my YouTube channel. Make sure you watch as many free webinars which have been done, all recordings are up there. And this is what I am doing for you for free. It is all for free. See how much it is interesting you. See if it clicks with you. See if you find the interest in it. And if you find the inspiration, and if you really want to come about to the market to really change your life, you have to take some steps in learning. If any of you is interested, come to the December batch. Don't delay. Come to the December batch. And there you will get to learn everything from a very basic level to an advanced level of technical analysis. Registrations are already happened and still happening. Okay, so focusing on the technicals is very important. At the same time, it is important to know what to focus and what point of time. Let's say, for example, when the market was falling, there was a different set of variables which were giving the best of the signals, right? Different set of variables which were giving the best of the signals. But when the market is now sort of pulling back, there's a different set of variables in different time frames which are giving the best of the signals, right? So, given all that, you need to focus on how it can play out in the best manner, right? Now, there's stocks like Gale, which I was looking at recently, and if you're on my Telegram channel, you must have understood this day I called it a short on Gale and made a lot of money on that trade, and everything was there on Telegram. I called a short on Gale. That trade made more than 1.25 lakhs overnight. Now, over here, where it had started falling from, Gale came back recently and gave us further falls to bank upon. Right now, as I speak, Nifty has fallen, and which I told you, the structure is there, but it can certainly go back, dip, and create more steam before it moves higher. So that is going to be a very, very crucial point to be noted. It can create more steam so that it can move higher. And as I was talking about the stock in this in bank, it is not broken out from the trend line. So we can see that this stock, given that it doesn't break the trend lines, break the trend line, can go down also, right? And if it breaks, then we can see some participation of a lot of masses which can come in, right? So keeping the subtle things in mind is important. Bank Nifty also, it is showing some weakness. Now we have about 1 hour left, and the weekly clearing on the Bank Nifty is also what that happens. So keeping that in mind is very, very important, right? Any questions regarding any stock in particular, anything in particular? How many of you are in a trade right now and are like having an interesting trade or had an interesting trading day today with regards to whatever you were trading and looking at? Okay, I'm getting some messages. Okay, I'm getting two messages. First one, Sandeep ji says that ICICI November future he had traded, and Kshitiz says that India Bulls Housing Finance he had traded short, right? And that's very interesting. Let's look at from the technical perspective what you may be looking at. So, ICICI Bank, one second. Okay, so he shorted ICICI Bank. At what zone did he short it? Yeah, there was a B band trade over there. So Bollinger Band is something which I look at carefully times, and it was just trading beyond the band, which is like on some of the time frames, like 15 minute was trading beyond the band, which is extremely a sign of sort of overbought sign. What else were you looking at? Possibly, what were you looking at? Or see you? Oh, you had bought ICICI November future. Okay, Mr. Sanjeev. What price did you buy in? What price did you buy in? 366. How is the trade doing right now? What is your stop loss? Three 62. So what is the basis of you buying into ICICI Bank? What was the basis of you buying into ICICI Bank? What was the basis? 52-week high. So you're keeping a 4 rupees stop loss for the basis which is 52-week high. See, 52-week high is just a variable that is trying to show you some power. Okay, that has got nothing to do with what is your, that there's an entry point right away and you can go and buy right away. So 52-week high can be a place from where the market falls also. That's not a problem. Any high will be a 52-week high because later the market has fallen from there. So please make sure that your basis is very, very clear whenever you are trading. Okay, I won't say that is a very, very strong basis. However, I hope you get whatever trade plan sorted, right? I have no personal sort of opinion on the particular trade design, but I don't feel it is a very good approach how you're doing it. Okay, let me check once again. So he's asking. No, of course, see, it's not about that. It's about your approach and your stop loss. It's not about that. It's about approach and stop loss. So make sure your approach and stop loss is correct because it's a trend and you are following the trend and that's completely fine. But the thing is, if your stop loss is not in conjunction with some other variables, then just trading on the basis of one variable is not enough, is what I can tell you. Okay, Kshitij says that he shorted Indiabulls Housing Finance at 798. So I get 798 in futures. That would, I'll pull up the chart later. But right now I have the hourly chart with me. Okay. Okay. So you're already in the trade. Are you still in the trade or you're out of the trade, Kshitij? Okay, he's still in the trade. Okay. So his particular inference was that it was below a certain indicator which he looks at, and it was a steep fall. Okay, Kshitij had a stop loss was 818. Fair enough, fair enough. So you're taking the previous high as a stop loss, is it? On the hourly chart? Or was it, or what was the basis? Resistance zone? Okay, okay. Great, guys. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing all that with us. I'll share something which I done today. So I was looking at trades from on the bank Nifty. So I took this trade on Bank Nifty, which was again a very, very rewarding trade. So I ended up getting about 200 points straight away, almost 200 points because I went along within this structure. So that was an excellent thing which happened. And apart from that, I'm looking at the market from a slow and steady perspective. And as I said, I have a broader perspective which is quite bullish given the kind of participation we're seeing. However, the sentiment is not so bullish. So if that's everything catches up, which may take a few days, but everything catches up, I do believe that we should break out and we should go higher for the time being. However, the broader medium term trend still prevails to be on the downside, to be honest. That bearishness still prevails. So it's not something which I will be looking at for a very, very long time, because the stocks which got the big bang to happen, like Yes Bank, etc., those stocks are still very bearish. India Bulls Housing Finance, you know, those stocks are still very bearish. Obviously, there'll be sharp pullbacks, but most of those stocks are still very bearish. So keeping that in mind is very, very important, right? The breadth is very, very important. And today I'm not going to discuss the open interest data like I generally do. But since somebody is asking, that's not one thing I had planned, but since somebody is asking, I will just pull up the open interest data and show you what my observation are. And after that, if you want to ask any question, feel free, or else we'll take the session forward some other time. Yeah, so this is the open interest data. And like yesterday, I was talking about there being a potential resistance at around 10,600. Okay, on the call side, due to there was a high build up, and compared to the puts, it's still getting, it's still getting on the higher side. The weight is on the higher side on the call side. That means the weaker hands have bought more calls compared to puts. Now, yesterday itself, you can go back to YouTube and see the live session. Yesterday, I had mentioned very clearly that if there is a lot of buying on the puts compared to the buying on the calls, the market can really burst up. Are we seeing a comparatively more buying today on puts compared to calls? What are you observing? Those who see that there's more buying in puts, I repeat my question. Those who see there's more buying in puts, note, see the column of change in open interest. See the column of change in open interest. And look at the near the money puts in and around this area. Those who are seeing that there's more buying in puts, raise your hands, please. Compared to calls, there's more buying in puts, raise your hands. Can you see what how much on the money call open interest changes? 573, 5,73. So these many new contracts people have brought, and why the assumption is that the weaker hands, the general public or the typical traders, who most of them who are not very smart, lose money or act impulsively, have bought puts. That means they're expecting the market could go down, and this is a contrarian indicator. So the market has a high likeliness of going up. Are you getting my point? So how will this become more significant when even this is negative? We see negative change in open interest over here. So we have already got a bullish tone which has picked up. So yesterday, if that bullish tone was at second gear, now this bullish tone is at third gear, and only the fourth gear will kind of create the breakout which may happen, right? So we can see again, as I'm speaking, Nifty has gone back up, and as I spoke from the beginning, okay, we have seen that this structure is building up and showing some sort of a power on the upward direction, right? So this is something which always happens in some of the other live session, and as I'm speaking, things tend to kind of come up, and we can also notice how in the next few minutes how IndusInd Bank, if it has to break above this trend line, how this can react. So the market reactions you have, they're very easy to capture. It's just that, and I'm sure Mr. Sanjeev has also probably made some more money on his ICICI Bank, so he's following the trend, right? That's not a problem. All I just meant to say that 52-week high is always being broken every next day in a trending stock, right? And the lifetime high, which is over here, has been broken after consolidation. So I think you're following some of my uh, YouTube videos as well, Mr. Sanjeev. Thank you for the contribution. Thank you, Shitish, for the contribution. And we can see how things sort of brim up from here, right? Thank you so much, Mr. Sanjeev. I would definitely like to see you more often in more webinars. What my view is on Adani Enterprises? Okay, let me check. Adani. Adani Ports, I have a bullish view. So I've been speaking about that in my weekly uh, this thing, and today we saw there's a 4% rise. In fact, just 2 hours back only, I was looking at talking to someone about fresh longs over here, and these were good areas again to see that this intraday breakout along with a bigger time frame breakout has happened, and that's pretty interesting. How many of you noticed this stock movement after my weekend weekend video? How many of you noticed it? I just want to see how many eager faces actually come over here. How many noticed it? Great, great. Thanks. Quite a few. Oh my God, thank you so much. So many of you notice this, and I'm very glad that you're noticing these things, because it takes a lot of hard work to be able to put in for the coming week entirely, just by looking at what happened in the last Friday. Now, coming to Adani Enterprises, my view is slightly more neutral on that for the short-term perspective, since we have seen, quite a big volatile up and down in this move. I really feel that the market should really digest both sides of the move. There's been a vertical upside and quite a vertical downside. So I think it should digest a little bit before anything new can happen. So from the short term perspective, I would not place my finger on it just like that, is what I can say, Mr. Shakti. On the hourly chart, if I have to check, what I can say is that yes, support zones are near. Again, even here, after a sharp fall, the market just doesn't do something suddenly many times. So let's just hold our horses and see how the market may react. I would significantly look at more structure for Nifty, because I still don't see that all the stocks are going up very erratically for the breakout to happen. But yes, in the event that we see some more structure and it happens, then it could be something bullish for the broader markets, since Bank Nifty is already doing pretty well. Okay. So guys, thank you so much. I had a very good time over here today. I hope all of you took away something from this session. This will be up on YouTube if you want to watch it again. Share it with your friends, subscribe to my channel, and 100%, how many of you ask me, asking you all, okay, if you all can just pay attention for this one last question. You know how to raise your hands up? Can you raise your hands up? Just click that button, raise your hands up. Can you see a red button? You can raise your hands up, right? 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 Now just put your hands down all together once and just answer me this one question. Just one question. How many of you think you deserve to be rich? Raise your hands, those who think you deserve to be rich. Deserve to be rich. The problem is that it's very easy to make money. Most people think that they don't deserve to be rich. If you really feel you deserve to be rich, you want to do something with trading, and if you want to do something big with markets, please contact my team. If you just want to do for time pass, don't, if you're serious, you want something big from the markets, you call my team. I recommend you highly join the December batch. The fees is just 12,500 rupees and support goes for lifetime. Okay. So keep in touch either way. And thank you so much. I had a great time. Take care, guys. Thank you very much. Keep learning. I'll see you next time. Until next time, goodbye, good night, enjoy.